Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Pedagogical Strategies in Discourse Analysis. Interactive Assistant Pedagogical strategies refer to the methods and techniques used by educators to facilitate learning and engagement in the classroom. In discourse analysis, the study of pedagogical strategies focuses on how language is employed to guide instruction, promote critical thinking, manage classroom dynamics, and foster student participation. By examining how teachers structure their language in different instructional contexts, discourse analysts can uncover how pedagogical approaches either support or hinder student engagement, comprehension, and the development of skills. Discourse analysis in the context of pedagogy sheds light on the subtle ways that language frames educational experiences, reinforces learning objectives, and navigates power dynamics between teachers and students. The language used by educators is a key tool in shaping the classroom environment, motivating students, and facilitating knowledge construction. Key features of pedagogical strategies in discourse analysis. 1. Questioning techniques. Questioning techniques are central to many pedagogical strategies, as they engage students in the learning process, encourage critical thinking, and assess comprehension. Discourse analysis investigates how teachers use questions to promote dialogue, stimulate thought, and direct classroom discourse. Example: a teacher might ask, "What do you think the author meant by this?" to encourage students to interpret a text. Discourse analysis would examine how open-ended questions like this promote deeper thinking and active engagement with the material, allowing students to explore different interpretations rather than providing a single, correct, answer. 2. Feedback and assessment language. The language of feedback and assessment is a key pedagogical strategy that shapes student learning experiences. Discourse analysis explores how feedback is framed to encourage growth, correct misunderstandings, or provide praise, and how students respond to different types of feedback. Example: a teacher might say, "You've made good progress on your essay, but you need to strengthen your argument in the conclusion," combining positive feedback with constructive criticism. Discourse analysis would explore how this type of language helps students understand areas for improvement while reinforcing their efforts and motivating further progress. 3. Scaffolding and guided learning. Scaffolding refers to the support that teachers provide to help students gradually build their understanding and skills. Discourse analysis examines how teachers use language to scaffold learning, breaking down complex concepts and guiding students through problem-solving processes. Example: a math teacher might say, "Let's work through this step by step. First, we solve for x. What should we do next?" guiding the student through the problem incrementally. Discourse analysis would investigate how this language provides structure and support while gradually encouraging student independence in problem solving. 4. Framing content to enhance engagement. The way in which teachers frame content is a critical pedagogical strategy for capturing student interest and making material relevant. Discourse analysis explores how teachers use language to contextualize lessons in ways that connect to students' lives, experiences, or future goals. Example: a history teacher might frame a lesson by saying, "Let's think about how this event from the past affects the world we live in today," making historical content relevant to contemporary issues. Discourse analysis would examine how this framing increases student engagement by highlighting the significance of the content beyond the classroom. 5. Classroom management and authority. Effective classroom management often relies on how teachers use language to maintain authority and order while creating a respectful and inclusive learning environment. Discourse analysis investigates how teachers balance maintaining discipline with encouraging an open and participatory classroom culture. Example: a teacher might say, "Let's all stay focused so that we can finish this activity together," using inclusive language to maintain control without being authoritarian. Discourse analysis would explore how this approach fosters a cooperative learning environment while subtly reinforcing the teacher's authority. 6. Promoting collaboration and peer interaction. Encouraging collaboration and peer interaction is an important pedagogical strategy that can enhance learning through social engagement. Discourse analysis examines how teachers use language to facilitate group work, encourage peer feedback, and create a collaborative learning atmosphere. Example: a teacher might say, "Discuss your answers with a partner before we share as a class," prompting students to engage in peer-to-peer dialogue. Discourse analysis would explore how this strategy encourages collaborative learning, allowing students to learn from each other and articulate their thinking in informal settings before sharing with the larger group. 7. Encouraging critical thinking and reflection. A key goal of many pedagogical strategies is to foster critical thinking and reflection. Discourse analysis examines how teachers use language to encourage students to question assumptions, analyze information, and reflect on their own learning processes. Example: a teacher might ask, "Why do you think the author made that choice? Do you agree with their argument?" to encourage students to critique and reflect on the material. Discourse analysis would explore how these questions push students beyond surface-level understanding, prompting deeper analysis and self-reflection. Methods for analyzing pedagogical strategies in discourse. 1. Conversation analysis. Conversation analysis looks at the structure of interactions between teachers and students, focusing on turn-taking, questioning, and response patterns. This method helps to uncover how teachers guide discussions, how students participate, and how meaning is co-constructed in the learning environment. Example: a conversation analysis of classroom discussions might examine how teachers follow up on student responses, either by affirming their contributions or probing for deeper understanding. The analysis would reveal how these conversational strategies support or limit student participation and learning. 2. Critical discourse analysis, CDA. Critical discourse analysis, CDA, examines how pedagogical strategies reflect broader power dynamics, social norms, and ideologies within the educational system. CDA focuses on how teachers' language either reinforces or challenges authority, inclusion, and equity in the classroom. Example: a CDA of classroom interactions might explore how teachers address different students based on gender, race, or academic ability, revealing whether language reinforces stereotypes or promotes inclusion. The analysis would focus on how language practices reflect broader societal inequalities or challenges them. 3. Frame analysis. Frame analysis investigates how content is framed in classroom discourse and how this framing affects student engagement and interpretation. This method is useful for understanding how teachers present material in ways that make it relevant, accessible, or engaging for students. Example: in a science class, a teacher might frame a lesson on ecosystems by saying, "Let's think about how humans impact the environment and what we can do to protect it," framing the content as personally and globally relevant. Frame analysis would explore how this framing shapes students' perceptions of the importance and application of scientific concepts. 4. Narrative analysis. Narrative analysis examines how teachers and students construct stories to explain concepts, share experiences, or illustrate points. This method helps to reveal how narratives are used as pedagogical tools to make abstract ideas more concrete and relatable. Example: a teacher might tell a story about a historical figure's struggle to make an abstract concept like resilience more relatable to students. Narrative analysis would explore how these stories are used to make content engaging and meaningful, helping students connect with the material on a personal level. Examples of pedagogical strategies in discourse analysis. Example 1. Socratic questioning in literature classes. In a literature class, a teacher might use Socratic questioning by asking, "What do you think the author is trying to say about society through this character's actions?" Discourse analysis would examine how this questioning technique encourages students to think critically about the text, engage in dialogue, and explore multiple interpretations rather than simply seeking the right answer. Example 2. Constructive feedback in writing instruction. A writing instructor might provide feedback like, "Your argument is strong, but I think your evidence could be more specific. Can you find another example to support your point?" Discourse analysis would explore how this feedback balances praise with constructive advice, helping the student improve their work while maintaining motivation. Example 3. Scaffolding in mathematics lessons. In a math lesson, a teacher might scaffold learning by saying, "First, let's review what we know about equations, and then we'll apply that to this new problem," building on prior knowledge to introduce new concepts. Discourse analysis would investigate how this step-by-step language helps students build confidence and understanding as they tackle more complex problems. Example 4. Promoting peer collaboration in group projects. During a group project, a teacher might say, "Work together to solve this problem," and make sure everyone in the group contributes, promoting collaboration and equal participation. Discourse analysis would explore how this language encourages group dynamics where all students are expected to contribute, fostering teamwork and mutual learning. Example 5. Reflective language in critical thinking exercises. In a philosophy class, a teacher might ask, "What assumptions are we making when we accept this argument? Could there be another way to think about this issue?" Discourse analysis would examine how this language encourages students to reflect on their own thinking, question assumptions, and develop critical thinking skills. Challenges in analyzing pedagogical strategies through discourse. 1. Context-dependent nature of classroom discourse. Classroom discourse is highly context-dependent, varying by subject, student demographics, and teacher style. Discourse analysts must consider these variables when analyzing pedagogical strategies, as the effectiveness of certain strategies may differ across different learning environments. 2. Power dynamics and authority. The power imbalance between teachers and students can complicate discourse analysis, especially when considering how authority is maintained or challenged. Analysts must be mindful of how language both reflects and shapes these dynamics in ways that can either support or hinder student engagement and autonomy. 3. Incorporating nonverbal communication. While discourse analysis primarily focuses on language, nonverbal communication, such as gestures, tone, and body language, plays an important role in pedagogy. Analysts may need to consider how nonverbal cues work alongside verbal language to fully understand pedagogical strategies in action. Conclusion. Pedagogical strategies in learning environments are deeply rooted in the language used by educators to guide instruction, foster engagement, and shape student understanding. Through discourse analysis, researchers can examine how questioning techniques, feedback, scaffolding, and classroom management are linguistically constructed to facilitate learning. By analyzing the power dynamics, framing of content, and promotion of critical thinking, discourse analysis offers valuable insights into how language functions as a tool for teaching and learning. Understanding the role of discourse in pedagogy is essential for improving instructional practices, fostering inclusive and equitable learning environments, and supporting student success across diverse educational contexts. Frequently asked questions. What is the focus of discourse analysis in pedagogical strategies? Discourse analysis in pedagogical strategies examines how educators use language to guide instruction, engage students, manage classrooms, and foster participation. It helps reveal how language shapes teaching and learning dynamics, influences comprehension, and affects student motivation and autonomy. Why is the study of language important in teaching? Language is a fundamental tool for teaching as it structures interactions, frames content, and establishes classroom norms. Studying language helps understand how educators communicate knowledge, maintain authority, encourage critical thinking, and create an inclusive learning environment. What role do questioning techniques play in pedagogy? Questioning techniques are used to engage students, stimulate critical thinking, and assess understanding. Discourse analysis investigates how open-ended and targeted questions promote dialogue and deeper exploration of content, influencing how students interact and contribute in class. How does feedback language affect student learning? Feedback language can motivate, correct, or guide students, impacting their learning experience. Discourse analysis studies how teachers frame feedback to encourage growth, build confidence, and provide constructive criticism, balancing praise with areas for improvement. What is scaffolding in teaching, and how is it analyzed? Scaffolding is a strategy where teachers provide structured support to help students grasp complex concepts. Discourse analysis examines how incremental language, e.g., Step-by-step guidance assists students in problem-solving while fostering independence as they gain understanding. How does language use reinforce or challenge classroom power dynamics? Teachers often hold authority in the classroom, which can be reinforced or challenged through language. Discourse analysis looks at how language establishes control, such as through commands or inclusive phrasing, and how it either supports or limits student voice and agency. What is the impact of framing content on student engagement? Framing content involves presenting material in a way that connects to students' experiences and interests. Discourse analysis explores how language choices make lessons more relatable and compelling, influencing how students perceive the relevance and significance of what they are learning. How can discourse analysis improve collaborative learning? By studying how teachers encourage or facilitate group work through language, discourse analysis reveals strategies that foster effective collaboration. Phrases that promote equal participation and collective problem-solving can create a more interactive and supportive learning atmosphere. What challenges do researchers face in analyzing classroom discourse? Challenges include accounting for the context-dependent nature of interactions, balancing the analysis of verbal and nonverbal communication, and navigating the power dynamics between teachers and students. Each classroom setting has unique variables that affect how language functions in pedagogy. How does discourse analysis contribute to better teaching practices? Discourse analysis provides insights into the effectiveness of pedagogical language, enabling educators to refine their teaching methods to better engage students, promote participation, and foster critical thinking. Understanding how language impacts learning helps create more inclusive and effective educational environments.